Kevin, thanks to you and Georgette for having me to your beautiful home. You grew up in Lynchburg, Virginia. What was growing up in Southwest Virginia like for Kevin Keatts?
Well, first of all, I had two parents that were, neither one of them played any sports, but so supportive, held me accountable, pushed me to be great. I think that city is where I developed my toughness. Never was given anything. Everything was earned. You know, I was a two sports guy, played basketball and football and kind of got that grit from, just being in that area.
And your father, this is interesting, your father was a masonry teacher.
Yes.
And you were his apprentice on weekends?
So
that's some hard work.
So Jay, grit. My father, was a masonry instructor, but on the weekends, we did jobs. We built houses, we did foundation, we put in chimneys. And
really?
I'm telling you now, I remember back then, we would work 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday. I would get basically $100 for the weekend. I would get, $5 an hour. Yeah. I learned so much. I made the mortar. I used the mortar machine. It spit at me plenty of times. I provided them with the blocks and the bricks. It gave me a great foundation. I loved it. I mean, I really did. And he would get me up every Saturday morning. Hey, come on, let's go to work. I go back and just think about my times, and it's easy now to compare the way we grew up to the way my kids grew up, and I laugh at them because it's not even close. But it humbled me to any time I need to go back and look at back where I came from and my roots. I think it helps me.
I love it. Yeah. I always loved those football guys. You were a point guard, but a football quarterback. Do you think being a football quarterback helped you in basketball, and even as a coach? I just loved having guys that played football on our team. Do you look at that way?
Yeah, Jay, it gives you toughness. I even, at one segment in my career, recruited only guys who played football and basketball because I wanted that grit and toughness from them. But it's just, it teaches you values. You have to have discipline to go from one sport to the other. I gave up football, Jay. There was no way I was going to keep taking free hits. And it doesn't feel good now when you get hit like that.
I watched you and having known you since way back in your Hargrave military days. That's where I met you. And I remember going down there in September recruiting. It was about 105 degrees. You had no air conditioning in the gym. You were sweeping the floor. You had guys, you were talking to guys about they had to march if they got in trouble with their guns and what was it called? The bull ring? They used to march around the bull ring.
You remember that, Jay. I like that.
Well, we had Shane Clark and Bilal Ben. I'm sure they had to march around the bull ring a couple times.
But Bilal Ben more than Shane Clark, but yeah.
Let's get to those Louisville years. 2 Final Fours, a national championship. You're working for Rick Pitino. One thing, there's a million questions I could ask you, but Rolly Massimino, who I came up under and worked under, had the same kind of philosophies as Rick Pitino. And I remember hearing Coach Massimino used to make us memorize the entire scouting report of the other team. We couldn't bring notes to practice. That used to drive me crazy. I was spending all this time on the other team. And you had to do that for Rick Pitino, right?
Yes.
Do you make your assistants do that?
The scouting report thing is different now. People out there that don't know.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, if you've got a team, let's say, for example, you got a team that runs Villanova. It was my scout.
Is that right?
Yeah, I had to remember everything that Jay Wright would run offensively, defensively. If you played any zone, back then you were doing that 1-2-2. I remember all of that stuff. Yeah. You got me in trouble a couple times because I didn't put on the scouting report that you always front the post. And so those things. So yeah, no paper was allowed. I've taken that with me.
Really?
And what I do now, it's a little bit different. You can have a piece of paper in your pocket. You can peek at it, but you cannot pull it out and be fumbling through it while you're trying to teach the guy. Because if we want them to know it, you have to know the scouting report better than they do.
That's really interesting. I did the same thing. I said, like you can have some notes with you, but you got to know the stuff. But memorizing everything was incredible.
Hey, Jay,
that was old school. Those guys did it, man, and we did it.
Jay, it's old school. You had to do it. I had to do it. But I tell you what, it helps at. When I became my head coach and I was at UNC Wilmington, I needed to run a play. I remember some that Pittsburgh ran or somebody ran that was very effective against us, and it comes to you now because you learned it and not just had to learn it for the moment. It stuck with you.
Now, how much shopping do you do? Because I know you love your gear.
Yeah.
And we got to show those shoes, man. Those shoes are awesome. Rumor is you have more shoes than Georgette.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know about that. If you let Georgette tell a story, yes. I'm like you, Jay. You're one of the sharpest dressing guys I know. And,
I appreciate that, man.
And you know that.
It means a lot from you, man.
No, and I love to shop. I do. And I get my shop, and you know this, a lot of times we get to cities the day before. We will practice here. We get there and we got, several hours before we watch film, before we get into, our team stuff. I'll go shopping.
Is that right?
And that's a little therapy for me too. Yeah, just to get out by myself, walk around at the mall. It's nothing for me to be in Georgia somewhere and someone says, I saw Kevin Keatts around the mall. That's what I do, yeah.
That's something that's changed in college basketball now. Coaches aren't wearing suits, they're wearing quarter zips. What's your feeling on that?
Well, it bothered me at first because I had a lot of suits.
I know the feeling.
And I was like, man, God, we're not wearing suits. What am I going to do with this? And, it was strange at first, but it's comfortable now.
Yeah.
It makes it easy. You know this, Jay, when suits got to be dry clean, which is great. You're still going to wash your clothes, but, you got to pack that suit up. You got to take it to the arena. You got to pack it when you travel. Now we just
have the right tie.
You gotta have the right tie.
Gotta have the hanky to match.
Gotta have the hanky to match.
Shoes.
When the tie, you lose a game, you don't want to wear the tie ever again. You don't want to wear the suit. We all in college coaching have more money because we don't wear suits. And I'm never going to say that I'm not going to go back to wearing suits. I love suits. I would say more so going back to wearing sports coats than anything.
Really? You might.
I like to put a sport coat on every now and then. Yeah. When we play in Reynolds Coliseum, which we play one game a year, I typically will pull out the red sports coat and just put it on. But I'm not opposed to it. I think if you can, especially as a head coach, I wouldn't make the assistants because they get mad. Assistants are completely done with suits. They're so happy about it. But I'll mix it in every now and then probably.
I like that. I heard another interest you have, cars. You like fine cars?
I like cars.
I like
probably too much.
Is that right?
Yeah. I like cars. I like older cars. I like.
Do you have a Bentley? Is that true?
Well, I don't know about that. That could be a rumor a little bit.
I love that, man. You got a great office downstairs here that you're in late night, early morning. We were with Georgette. She was talking about you hunkered down there. Tell everybody about a coach's office at his house. Like you're in the office all the time, but the work you get done when you get home in your office and no one can get to you, that's 2, 3 in the morning. That's 5 o'clock in the morning to start your day, right?
So Jay, you probably got crucified because you may get in the office a little later. But you've been in the office. You just were in your home office.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't sleep.
Where no one can get to you,
right?
No
one can get to you. So, 5:30 in the morning, I'm up. I'm downstairs. I'm doing scouting report. I'm thinking about recruiting. I'm thinking about developing. I'm thinking about what we got to do the next, 2 or 3 days to be good. And that's where you get a chance to do it in your home office. People don't understand this as a head coach, especially if you've been out for a couple of days recruiting. When you get back, everybody in that office wants a piece of you, and everybody's going to grab you. And so you don't get a chance. You don't have the opportunity to get a lot of stuff done in the office. And I use my home office a lot. Late at night when I'm calling recruits, or early in the morning when I'm preparing for a team.
How about comparisons to Jimmy Valvano? Like when I was coming up, I don't know if you remember, but he was the man. And when he took NC State on that run, I'm watching you and thinking, like, he's Jimmy V now. He's taking them on this run, but yet you guys are so different. Like Jimmy was so flamboyant and emotional. And I watch you, and during the whole thing, you were unflappable, man. You were never out of character. Do you hear those comparisons about the two runs?
Well, first of all, as a person, Jimmy V was a great coach, a great person, and his inspiration and what he's done after basketball has even been great. The impact that he's had on NC State and really the country. We hear some of that. Different path. What makes our run a little special is it came out of nowhere. There were no one in the outside of the program or the locker room that thought we had a chance to, number one, win the ACC, but go to the Final Four. And I think that really made it special.
It just reminded me of those Jimmy V days, and I loved seeing you in that same spot as Jimmy V, but doing it your way. It was really cool. All right, this is a coachy question, but I'm fascinated by how you are known for playing fast. But you had a guy like DJ Burns that was such a unique talent. Just tell people how hard that is for a coach to change with the game on the line, maybe your career on the line, the season on the line, and change what you've done your whole coaching career for one player that's special.
You know, the first time in my career I had to figure out how to play fast and slow. You know, as you guys know, I like to play with 4 guards, and we get up and down and we push the ball, and you got to get the ball across half court in 3 seconds or less. We're pressing you. So we had to pick our moments. You know, we had to figure out, all right, hey, we've got this unique player that nobody in college basketball has. He's got a great touch. He's got great footwork. He's an unbelievable passer. And so give credit to the coaching staff. We all sit down and we said, how can we fit him into our puzzle and be successful? And, you know, I think it was great because our players bought into it. We would run when we had the opportunity, but if we didn't get an early opportunity to score in transition, we would literally wait, get DJ the ball at the top of the key, or set some type of screen that we can give it to him in the post. And our guys really bought in because he would rather pass the ball than he would to shoot the basketball. And I mean, Jay, I don't know that we'll ever see another guy like DJ Burns. And people, you know, you would talk about he's not in great shape. Well, a couple of those games in the tournament, he played 42 minutes.
Incredible.
He could sit down and guard a ball screen every now and then. I'm not going to promise you that he could do it all the time, but he was great. And our guys bought into the fact that if we needed a basket, we would throw the ball in. So essentially, he became our point guard on our team.
Yeah. He became a celebrity. That's a whole nother challenge for a coach. How did you handle his celebrity in the NCAA tournament and still sticking with your team values? I thought you guys did a great job balancing that.
Yeah, he's going to be the mayor of Raleigh one day, and I said it publicly because I really feel that way. It was easy, Jay, because of his personality. Great personality, doesn't misuse stuff. He comes from a great family that really supports him. But DJ Burns allowed me to coach him. Like, I didn't change. I got on him. When he didn't get up on the ball screen, when he didn't do what he's supposed to do, we still coached him. And you know this, when you coach your best players, everybody respects that. And so all the other players just bought into it.
You've got a love for ping pong, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You got a ping pong table here, and you got one at school?
I got one at school. You know, it's an icebreaker. And so everywhere that I went, we had one in Louisville, but the first thing that I did when I got into UNCW, I put a ping pong table down. Just like, you know this, Jay, every football player that walks into your practice facility, he's going to pick up that ball and he's going to shoot it.
Yeah.
They all think they can play. With that ping pong table, it breaks the ice a little bit with recruits, with your current players, and we put it in. And I had one at Hargrave, and because I was there for 12 years, I became a really good ping pong player. But it's an icebreaker. It's you know,
still do it with recruits when recruits
we still do it with recruits
campus?
if they can play. I challenge them and said, hey, can you play? And some of them say, yeah, I'm really good. And I said, all right, you sure? And when they say they're really good, then we play, and I beat them. I'm not going to show them mercy because they know that. But I will always have a ping pong table or a pool table.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're a high school parent and you're looking to have your son go play for Kevin Keatts, what do you want a high school parent to know coming to play for Kevin Keatts? What is that going to entail? What's that going to mean for their son?
Yeah, relationship. Like, I'm still old school. I know everything's become a little more transactional now with NIL, but I still want that old school reaction and relationship with the parents, with the player. You're not going to always be happy because everybody thinks that their son should play a little bit more, but we can have a relationship. I think that's the most important thing. Core values, a lot of parents are going to pass their young men on to some coach. He's got to go somewhere if he's a good basketball player. The one thing I pride myself is making sure that I hold them to a high standard, both on and off the court. Graduating is important to me. I'm going to coach them. I'm going to coach them hard, but I'm not going to disrespect them. And I think that's the message that I send is, hey, you can come here and still get some of the values that maybe as a parent you grew up with, but get a different result because this coach is going to be there for your young man. I want them to leave me, Jay, and be better husbands, fathers, and be able to survive in the world.
Good stuff, man. I'd finish with this. You've had such a great career, and you're still a relatively young guy in this business. What's your mindset in this next part of your career? Has your mindset changed, or what is it now going forward in this part of your career?
I just think you have to be able to adapt. You can't, like the way we did things 2 years ago, it's not even the way we do it now. And so if you're going to stay in this business, which I hope I'm in here for a long time, I have to adapt to the different situations, the different rules, the different kids that you're coaching. I grew, Jay, this year, and I want to continue to learn because the kids will teach you.
What do you think you grew the most this year?
I just think I grew with patience. I grew with understanding frustration. I grew as that all eyes are on you, and how you respond is how your team's gonna respond. I think I did that. I had a certain calmness about me.
You did.
That I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that these kids in this program is successful. And I think I learned, I was more rah-rah instead of, hey, do your work and practice and teach these guys. I became more of a teacher than more of a screamer. And I think that really helped me.
I think it helped a lot. It was really successful, man. I think you're going to do it for a long time. I think you're going to continue to be really successful, man. Great being with you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me in your home.